sauce bubbles, it sets the glaze and it just caramelizes the sauce a little bit and sets it on top of the ribs. So those are just about ready to come out. Howdy Cup. We're going to cook some barbecue smoked pork rib, mu, tonight. And we're going to show you how to do it. So we look down at our pork rib. We have some pork ribs here. These are small pork ribs. They're back ribs. They're on the very back, upper back part of the pig, of the mu. And these are small. They're called baby back ribs. Normally my ribs that I cook are much bigger. But these ones are the only ones we can get. We're in COVID lockdown right now. So we can only get some at our local grocery store. And first thing I'm doing is removing a skin or a surface on the inside of the rib cage. So you can see this one look a little bit different from this one. And how you do that, the first time I ever did ribs, these were really hard to do. But if you take a dull knife, like a butter knife or a dull knife, and just peel the edge of the rib, you get a little bit of it started. Once you get that membrane starting to come, take a paper towel and you grip it and pull, and it pulls this skin off the rib. That skin, very tough, and no flavor goes into the rib when you have that skin on there. So you take off that skin off all the ribs and throw them away. Now I'm going to take some oil. You could just put oil on by hand. This is some olive oil, which you use a lot in falang cooking in Australia and America and Italy and Europe, but this is olive oil, and this is just spray olive oil, so it makes it very easy. So I'm going to spray. Might want to back up so I don't get on the camera. And just going to spray some oil. Give a little coating. Sometimes people use mustard, sometimes they use different things just to get a little bit of moisture on the surface of the rib. So I use some oil. Now I have a dry rub called a dry rub. These are spice. Have many things: salt, pepper, brown sugar, onion powder, ginger, garlic, rosemary, many different spices in this dry rub. And I'm going to put on the rib. And because we took that little bit of skin off, that membrane off the inside of the rib, it lets some flavor go into this side of the rib. If that skin was still on there, not much flavor would go on the ribs. Now, ideally, you could maybe even dry brine the ribs, put on a little salt the night before, or put this seasoning on and let it sit 24-hour overnight. That would be best because more flavor would get into the rib meat. Mostly, when you put on dry rub, you're trying to get a bark or a crust on the outside of the rib. The only thing that really penetrates the meat is the salt. So a little dry brining the night before would really be ideal. That would give you a bit more flavor in the meat. Now I'm going to do the other side of the ribs. This is the meatier side. Spraying some oil just to give it a little moisture and really help the dry rub to stick. And I think there's some people who will say that the fats in the oil, the lipids in the oil and the olive oil, helps some things penetrate into the meat. But that's up for you to debate. I just find this method works pretty well for me. This dry rub has some paprika, some sweet smoked paprika in it as well. And that's what usually makes it get a good mahogany or red color when you put it on the ribs. So this will provide some flavor. There's a lot of different seasonings in this, so that will provide some flavor. But the main thing that this rub is doing is giving you crust on the outside of the ribs. As it smokes, you'll get a crust on the outside and a little bit of flavor penetrating. And as they get towards the end of their cooking, we're going to glaze them as well. So All right, so we have our ribs with some dry rub applied, and my smoker actually hangs the ribs. So I'm going to use one of my hooks for my hanger, and I go about 2 or 3 ribs down and push that right through. And these are going to hang inside the smoker like this. So I'm going to put a hook in each one of the racks of ribs and then take those outside and put them in my pit barrel smoker, which is one that I really like to use. I think it's very easy and works well. So just going to do one more rack, go down about 3 ribs, push the hook through, and those will be ready for hanging in the smoker. So those ribs are ready. I'm just going to get them ready. We'll meet you back out at the smoker in a moment and put these in the smoker.
จ้าพ่อใหญ่สูตรของพ่อใหญ่เนี่ยซี่โครงซี่แล้วก็ลอกหนังออกแล้วก็ใส่เครื่องใส่ออยล์สีสเปรย์ออยล์ใส่จ้าพริกหน้าพริกหลังค่ะแล้วก็เอาแนวหอยเอาเล็กมาหอยจ้านี่ก็ใส่ถาดนะคะเดี๋ยวเราก็สิไปดังไฟแล้วสูตรเชฟเดฟค่ะเดี๋ยวไปดังไฟน้ำกันค่ะ
Okay, we're outside now, getting ready to put the ribs in the barbecue. We're in the pit barrel smoker, which is the one I like to use. So I have some starter charcoal, just a little bit of charcoal that's lighting. It's a charcoal lighter that you light with some newspaper. So that's lighting. You come over here. This is the charcoal basket that goes in the bottom of the smoker. Some little pieces of hickory wood give the ribs very good flavor. So you put a little bit of hickory and some charcoal, and I put this in the bottom of the smoker.
Oh, ngay.
And
นี่แหละค่ะสูตรพ่อใหญ่
now I'm
เอา
going
ทาน
to
ลงไปก่อนใหม่ก็ใหม่มันสิหอม
take the lit charcoal and going to put inside in the middle.
ว้าวดังไฟสูตรพ่อใหญ่เดฟ
Okay, we put these are the rods that the ribs hang on inside the smoker. Now we're going to hang them. This is a good smoker because you can put up to 8 racks of ribs in here same time. We're just doing just a little bit, just doing 4 little ones.
อันพ่อใหญ่ อันน้อยๆพอดีสองตายาย
Okay, so now the ribs are hanging in the smoker. We put the top on.
ไปแล้วจ้า
We come back and check in about 2.5 hours and see how they're doing. A lot of barbecue you do by temperature, but ribs you do by kind of feel. When you can bend the rib and it start to crack a little bit, it's done. So we check them in maybe 2.5 hours. These will probably take about 3 hours.
3 ชั่วโมงพุ่นแล้วค่ะ
So we'll check them soon.
โอเค
Okay, ribs been cooking for close to 3 hours, maybe 2 hour 45 minutes. We take a look.
Oh my god ลูกยำโอ้น่ากินมาก
So when you see the meat split a little bit, like that, out, like that, they're ready. So we're gonna take them off. And we're gonna take them inside.
น่ากินมากจ้า
Okay, we'll take them inside and glaze them.
โอเค
Okay, we've taken the ribs out of the pit barrel cooker, the pit barrel smoker. They're cooked. And now I'm going to glaze them. You can glaze them with some sauce. Could eat them just how they are now, but some people like to glaze them with sauce and put them back in the smoker. That's actually quite a challenge to do because you got to get them out of the smoker. And anyway, there's a number of reasons why that's a little bit more challenging. And it won't make them taste any different. It's just a bit easier for me to set the glaze in the oven rather than the barbecue. So you could have your own homemade sauce or a commercial sauce. I actually prefer Casey Masterpiece sauce. I really love that, but can't get it here in Australia very easily, and I've run out of it. So I've ordered some and it's coming, but in the meantime, I'm going to try some Stubbs sweet and sticky barbecue sauce, and I'm going to put on some sauce. Going to sauce the ribs and then put them under the grill in the oven and set the glaze. Set the sauce to coat the ribs, and the heat from the grill will just bubble. Don't want to burn it, but it will bubble and set on the ribs. So I prefer to sauce my ribs. I think a little barbecue sauce really enhances the flavor, so that's what I'm going to do next, is sauce them and set it in the oven. So let me just get these all sauced, and then we'll put them in the oven.
เดี๋ยวพ่อใหญ่แล้วถ้าซอสแล้วบานเนี่ยก็ไปอบอีกไมโครเวฟบ่ประมาณ
No, not the microwave. This is an oven.
oven
Yeah, microwave is called a microwave oven, but it's very different. This one
อ๋อ
is
โอเค
heat. We'll come and show in a second.
โอเค
Once these are all. That's what it looks like when the rib sauce is bubbling. That's going to set the glaze and set it on the ribs. Don't want to let it burn, but you want to get it bubbling like that. That's looking good.
พ่อใหญ่แล้วกลับด้านจ้าถ้าซอสอีกอ่ะ
Okay, now we're going to glaze the other side.
Yum I'm hungry น่ากินมากค่ะ เดี๋ยวเจียงไปกินกันจ้า ถ้าแล้วครั้งหนึ่งยังอีกครั้งนี่เดี๋ยวก็ได้กินเลยจ้าลูกสาวว่าแม่พ่อใหญ่กลับไทยมาแล้วเห็ดให้กินในเด้อว่าสัญญาว่าสันโอ้ยอยากว่าซันลูกสาวว่าลูกสาวเห็นลูกสาวได้กินละเที่ยนึงอยู่อเมริกาว่าถ้ากลับไทยแม่รอบนี้ไปเฮ็ดอยู่บ้านเมืองไทยในเด้อว่าสันเชฟเดฟคุกกิ้งบาร์บีคิว
Okay, they're all glazed up. We're going to go in and put them into the sauce on that side. Okay, those ribs are in the grill. You can see the hot grill. And it's just starting to bubble that sauce on top. So when that sauce bubbles, it sets the glaze, and it just caramelizes the sauce a little bit and sets it on top of the ribs. So those are just about ready to come out. Okay, those ribs are done. They're glazed. They've been smoked with hickory smoke and a dry rub. And they've been glazed with sauce, and the sauce has been set. I use a little bit of a grill in the oven as a cheat, just to make sure the sauce gets set quickly instead of putting them back in the smoker again. And we're going to cut those up and give them a taste. Okay. Okay, we'll give these ribs a little bit of a taste. They're probably a little bit overdone because ideally you want ribs that hold their shape. These are going to be very delicious, but it's going to be very soft. the rib meat. So I'll give them a taste. They're hot.
อร่อยไหม
Aloy ma.
ว้าว
Very good.
ว้าว
Very good flavor. Okay. You give a try. You hold the rib. You hold it.
Oh my god so yum yum อร่อยมาก
And we'll cut those up. Have ourselves some dinner.